Good afternoon, everyone, and a good evening to those who have joined us from Japan and East Asia. We have participants from Europe, so very good morning to you, and thank you all for joining in. We are very excited about the amazing speakers we bring to you for the 7th International Leadership Conference. But before we start, let me introduce my co-MC, Nikita Singla. Nikita is the Associate Director of Brief. She's passionate about gender equality and has broken many stereotypes to reach where she is today. She was also the first volunteer of TalentNomics India and is now the youngest person on our advisory council. Over to you, Nikita.
Thank you, Disha. It is my great pleasure as well to welcome everyone to the TalentNomics India's 7th annual conference and to co-host this with you. Friends, Disha is a law graduate from Sheffield with a passion for human rights issues. She has been associated with TalentNomics India since after her graduation, pursuing her desire to see a more gender equitable world. Many of you here have been such an integral part of TalentNomics' journey. I, on behalf of TalentNomics India, would like to express my deepest gratitude for all your support. And for our new guests, welcome to what is going to be a long association with us, I hope. Over the last 7 years, TalentNomics India, in so many different ways, has incubated future women leaders, offered multifaceted learning and networking opportunities to women, and guided organizations in their endeavor to build diverse teams. And the annual conferences have always provided for very powerful platforms to connect with thought leaders and change makers to lead this world of change and disruption. And COVID has taught us very well what change and disruption could mean. The world is rapidly changing for all of us during and post-COVID, and additionally so with the turmoil of the war. And we all know how women have been far more adversely impacted. So our simple intent is to build a new world order which is more equitable and stronger than ever before. Last year, we talked about moving from a universe to what we called an equiverse, and continuing the dialogue this year, we are focusing on the different aspects of building that equiverse, and we call them 4 W's for all of us to remember. Those are work, wealth, well-being, and welfare. So the question for us is, how do we really ensure equal access to these 4 W's? And that's what TalentNomics India and Konrad Adenauer-Stiftung bring to you through this conference today and tomorrow. We want to thank our partner CAS and our other partners and supporters of the conference, especially our platinum sponsor Hilti, other partners Saint-Gobain, HCL, Apraava Energy, Tata Steel, Green Delta, and Vahura. Thank you for all your support. And I also want to let you all know that we have over 1,500 registrations so far from 25 countries. And the best part is we have over 50% male representation. Truly an equiverse this time. Just before we begin, a few ground rules. Please share your comments and feedback and ask questions. We have prizes for the 3 most engaged participants. All bios of speakers are up on the platform for you to check out anytime you like. And we'll also hold a few polls and keep sharing the results with you. Without taking any more time, Disha, let's begin. With this, firstly, I would like to invite Ipsita Kathuria, founder and CEO of TalentNomics India, and Rabia Braur, Japan Country Representative CAS, to set the stage and open the conference. Over to you, Ipsita and Rabia.
A very good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening to all of you joining us from across the world. And thanks to technology and, of course, COVID for promoting this virtual world and for giving us this amazing opportunity for making global connections. I am Rabia Braur, the head of the Japan office of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, and I sit together with Ipsita Kathuria, the founder and CEO of TalentNomics India. And we are delighted to welcome you to our 7th International Leadership Conference on enabling an equiverse, equal access to work, equal access to wealth, to well-being and welfare. Ipsita, We are very proud of partnering again with you and TalentNomics, and from working with you over the years, I know how much gender equality means to you and to your organizations. Now, you coined the term equiverse. What does that mean in our context, Ipsita?
Thank you, Rabia, and namaste to all the participants. I also welcome all our participants for this year's conference. I'm honored to see so many people on the platform tuning in and sharing our thoughts and our insights on creating an equiverse. Thank you, Rabia, for your question. We indeed coined the term equiverse in our last conference. It signifies a universe where equity is the norm. I and many others today believe that the only way we can build a sustainable world is if we can build an equitable world. A world where each person, irrespective of their gender, has equal access to work, equal opportunity to build wealth, to provide for current and future financial needs, and equal rights to their well-being and welfare. You know, Rabia, I dream of that beautiful, harmonious world that is possible if women and men partner together in all aspects of life and work. A universe where women get their half of the sky, their half of the work, their half of the wealth, and their half of the well-being. Won't that be a lovely world, Rabia?
That is so true. Thank you, Ipsita, for taking the time to answer all our questions that we ask, probably on behalf of the audience. And let me come back to one issue. For many decades, women's limited access to work has been discussed. It has been researched, it has been deliberated upon, and many steps, we know this, have been taken by countries at national and state levels, by private, public, and social sectors to promote women's participation at work. Ipsita, why do we then still need this leadership conference?
Yes, you are right. Many conferences have deliberated on this, and many development institutions have made it their priority. I think most of the educated people are now familiar with the substantial benefit of engaging more women productively in the workforce. Yet things have not moved as fast as expected. In fact, you know, Rabia, things have regressed due to the pandemic and the other world events. And therefore, here we are again, talking about how should we hasten the momentum of this change.
Very true, Ipsita. Indeed, on our last conference on University Equiverse, we did focus on this aspect of equity work, and we did discuss what can be done to hasten the pace of change, who can do it and how. Ipsita, if we can reflect, if we take the time to reflect, what did we achieve?
Well, as you know, as you heard in the last conference, many innovative ideas and best practices were discussed. Yes, that's true. I have to say conferences like ours and many others have led to one thing, that is greater awareness of the criticality of the issue. And we hope some of those innovative ideas and those simple ideas that were discussed in the conference have been put to practice, both at the organization level and by individuals who attended the conference. But you know, Rabia, you know there is very little focus on the disparity in wealth and net worth of women, their well-being, or even their welfare. Neither researchers nor policymakers have explored the impact of this disparity. We know fewer women are employed, we know women earn less, they save less, have less propensity to manage their finances, and limited access to their own finances and own savings. At the same time, they are living longer than men. So these issues are becoming even more critical now. And we all need to get together and focus on all these aspects of disparity.
shouldn't we rather ask then how will we women live a life of dignity and respect if we are outliving our men, Ipsita?
You're so right. We definitely need to ask that question, and that's why we were talking about it in this conference. You see, women's well-being has come into sharper focus after the pandemic. Though a study shows that women's well-being was declining since 1970s, when more women started working but could not shed their home responsibilities. I was really amazed to come across this study recently. And thereafter, the pressure of performance combined with the perception of working in a biased environment further impacted their anxiety level and well-being was impacted negatively. However, this was never talked about openly or discussed widely till COVID hit us. And women bore the brunt of it, and women's well-being started getting more attention. Now, some organizations have started focusing on employee well-being more as a result of talent shortage, but not enough deliberation has happened to understand how to enhance the well-being of women. And to the extent well-being encompasses health of women, which directly impacts their ability to work, their ability to earn, it certainly should be very central to all the discussion around gender parity.
Now you pick up on those issues with TalentNomics, and following your work over the many years that I'm honored to work with you. How is TalentNomics involved in these aspects? I like to come to your visions, and I like to hear what you and your organization envision this to improve that situation.
Thank you, Rabia. Thank you so much for asking that question. As you know, we in TalentNomics India, we envision gender parity at leadership levels as a means to bridge this disparity. We believe that more women in leadership roles will create a ripple effect and will open more doors for women to participate in the workforce and equally share the gains of enhanced productivity and thereby become equal partners to progress. So we are actually focusing on that segment of women who could possibly create the largest impact for the rest of the women and through a cascading effect. So as we come out of the pandemic, we feel we should grab the opportunities the pandemic has provided to change how we think, how we work, and how we lead our lives. We therefore wanted to push forward this dialogue again today about building that wholesome equity in work, wealth, well-being, and welfare. They have to be looked at in an integrated way for us to move forward. We strongly believe that, and that's why we need partnership like yours, like the one we have forged with you and the Japan office of Coordinator Adena Stefan, which has recognized women's leadership and its importance in today's context in building a more sustainable world. We share the same dream and the passion about creating an equiverse, a gender equal world as you do.
Thank you very much, Ipsita. Indeed, we do. And I am very glad that we have expanded the conversation about equity beyond just equity in access to work. While that is very, very important and being discussed in many forums, it is not the whole story, Ipsita. I think we, both our organizations and many of those who are participating today in our conference, we have a lot of work in front of us. Am I right?
Absolutely correct, Rabia. We really need to focus not only on the well-being and welfare, but their ability also to build their wealth so that they can live a life of dignity. We know that working women paid a heavy price in terms of well-being during the pandemic. We just talked about that. At least men and women and organizations have started talking about it, but we have a long, long way to go. Wealth of women is the least discussed issue till now. There is no data or research around this issue that I could find. It's an issue that cuts across economic strata of women, as we will see in the conference as the discussions unfold, and there's a lot of interesting, anecdotes and talks that we will hear, insights that we'll hear around this issue. The welfare policies designed for sustainable development and productive engagement of women in economic growth will play a huge role in bridging the gap. So we are also very much looking forward to the CAS session tomorrow that's going to highlight some of the innovative development policies that have yielded positive results in building equity. So we're really looking forward to that session, Rabia.
Thank you very much, Ipsita. Many people from across the world will participating in this conference and have signed up for it. And like you probably, I'm happier to see that we have more men attending the conference this time, which talking about equity is an improvement. So please stay tuned, everyone. And there's lots that each of us can do, I believe, to change and to push forward and towards a more equitable world. And I assume many of our participants have this also on their agenda, Ipsita, right? So I thank you very much, Ipsita, for taking the time and walking with me through this introductory session. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Rabia. And it is true that, we are now having more and more men participate in the conference, be involved in discussions around equity. That's a very positive sign, and we need much more of that. So Rabia, let's now listen to all our eminent speakers and learn what's at stake and what role each of us can play in creating this equiverse. As I said last time, Rabia, I want to repeat it again. If each of us starts our own ripple of change, we can bring about a tsunami so large that it can wash over the current universe and leave behind an equiverse for us. So with that, I want to welcome all our participants again who joined our 7th International Conference, and hope you all will learn and enjoy the sessions planned over the next 2 half days. Without taking more time from our audience, let's move on to our opening session with our guest of honor, no other than the leading light, a change driver of gender equity, Mrs. Shabana Azmi. She is certainly a role model who has broken many barriers for herself and for other women. So please join us for the next session and listen to her story in creating an equiverse. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, everyone.